All right, everybody on YouTube, you should be able to hear me but not see me yet. I'm cycling through some of these scenes. For example, this first one that's going to pop up is Connect with Us, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, our website, and email address. This is our screen here. Let me see who do I have to turn off. Oh, I got to turn that off. There we go. Did I pop up yet? You're hearing me figure this thing out all at the same time. There it is. Okay, everybody watching on YouTube, thank you for tuning in live, and those who will watch later on, thank you for watching later on as it is recorded. It's nice to be back. My name is Matthew, publisher, CEO of Nervous Ghost Press. We are at the Community Arts Workspace in Hacienda Heights. If you are a writer, singer, musician, dancer, engineer, architect, doesn't matter what your job or passion is, you have a space here. You can work on your writing, your projects, and it's free. So all you have to do is email me and say, I have a project, I'm working on a book. I'm working on can I hear myself? A project, a novel, a poetry book, and you can get it all done. I hope you can hear me. On my screen, it looks like you can hear me. It doesn't seem like you can't. I have no text yet, so we're gonna keep going. All right. It's been 3 years almost since we have been in the virtual space. We were in person for a long time. I really enjoyed being in person. I also enjoyed being online. And what I realized is, oh, perfect. What I realized is that when we're in person, we're missing the people that are part of our communities outside of our immediate surrounding. And I'm very big on community, especially our extended communities. And in the art world, that extends to a lot of people. So I'm happy to be back. A little bit about the press. We are a 501c3 arts advocacy nonprofit where we publish books, and our mission is to make arts accessible to as many people and to those who need it most. And so reach out to us if you have any questions. We're always working on things. If you want to volunteer, feel free. If you want to just hang out in the space, also feel free. And so I will start us off. We have in-person performers and on Zoom and online and virtual performers. I'm hoping all the audio works. There are a lot of cables in here that I put together. Our audio person Brian is in Minnesota, so we send out our good vibes and our well wishes to him, but abandoned me and made me figure out all this audio stuff by myself. But I think we got it. So I'll read the first poem, and then we'll have our first speaker. So this poem is called Feathers in the Music. The system he claims to hate, into hypocrisy storming the white gate, of a people obsessed with nothing but death and more death and more death. Are you trapped inside the nowhere and here, the there and never and will be but not yet? Two of life's certainties, there are only two, tiptoeing between ghosts, watching ghosts and ghosts watching you, to choose the snap and crackle of your eyelids, of your temple waiting to bleed out from one mistake without remedy, without noise, deafening. It only takes one, they say, too late, too late. To the cure, the itch, the infection, the blood, the pus, the shit oozes out of your words. Your dreams are not dry, doused in sweat, sweet gasoline burning through your lungs and breath. The doctor says, breathe. What are your salves? Savior, salvation, the saint or the sainted. Faith hastened, burned scraps taste better with honey. Wash your dishes after you use them. My brother fought for to be free, died in his blood. What's life when change is our skin, our fingers wrapped around our throats, lips locked in sin? Are you afraid? Fearful of faith, of death, of death? Feathers in the music while we dance. So part of the way this format will work also, at the very end, we'll have a kind of a Q&A discussion. If anybody watching wants to ask questions to the performers, to the readers, to the speakers, to everybody, feel free, ask your questions. And otherwise, it'll be a really cool artist on artist conversation where we get to hear from the people in a more genuine format. And so the first person that will be up on the Zoom screen, so on YouTube, there's a Zoom screen and an in studio screen, and I'm testing it out as we do this. It's going to be fun. Our first person is Seth. And Seth, give me a minute to make sure you pop up. But I think you should. Right now it's going to be Marcus. So Seth, say something, and then it'll. There we go.
All right. Ready for me?
Whenever.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Seth Kaplan. I'm here from Talent, Oregon, down in Southern Oregon, and really happy to be with you all today. I have been trying to have my poetry keep up with world events. It's not always my way to write poetry about world events, but there's just so much going on. It just feels like everything is changing every day. And so I've been doing a lot of writing, and I wanted to share some of that with you today. Also wanted to share, if anybody's interested, I have a book coming out February 25th with Native Run Press. It's called Habitat, Unearthing Home. So hopefully there'll be more about that in the future. My first poem is called Banjaxed, Known to Unknown. Banjaxed is used to describe something that's not working or is broken. For example, the feckin' car wouldn't start this morning. The engine is banjaxed, from a local's guide to Irish slang words and phrases. And there you have it. Not complicated at all. The engine is banjaxed. That's what is known. But days are still to come, and all we know of them is each arrives with its bundle of bewilderments growing in proportion to our sack of expectations. Who amongst us will be present to greet the morning sun? For it will take more than an awakening to grasp the spectacle rising from this horizon. And for those who choose to bow low, will it be with neck exposed in surrender to the fury, or to honor the inevitability of the breaking dawn, shining light on uncertainty's promise? This uncertainty is like no other, like every other. And it feels like something unnamed, like our limitations illuminated, and our hubris a throbbing, aching heart. In a banjaxed world, we long for a mechanic to fix the feckin' engine. The used car salesman arrives like a priest to promise redemption for our sins. This next poem is called Truth. I just wrote it, so we'll see if it's finished or not. Let us not speak of truth, that sturdy, old-fashioned word, now impossibly shrouded by ignorance and obfuscation. Truth is that old man telling stories of a better time, tailing off into bashful bewilderment once he understands his glassy-eyed monologue is only a floor show for the fluorescent crowd of cooing strangers. They jokingly call him Mr. Truth and tease him about everything in his life that no longer matters. Truth eventually grows weary, silent, withers into something less tangible, asks no one, how did we get here? This poem is called Someone's Family, also very new. Sometimes after dinner, they would push the dishes into the center and sing those songs from their youth, off key, but they didn't care. it was a household that could manage discord. We can't know from here the language sung, the nationality of those unwashed dishes. It is someone's family, and in that we know what matters more than flags or borders. No one asked the people at this table to choose a side, and no one has to explain the cost. So they sing their songs off key and remember a younger time, simple and safe, before war raged, an unwelcome intruder at the door. Got two more here. This one is called If I Had Followed Guidance and Not Lost My Way. If I had followed the advice of my guidance counselor, I would have lived in the forest. She told me about a job fire watching from a tower in Humboldt County, or else I could go to college and be an English major. So like Christopher Columbus, I found the new world and lost my way. And like Columbus, I had to land. Sonoma County, just like Humboldt, Northern California, except no forest and no tower, ivory or otherwise, to climb. If I had followed my guidance counselor and not Christopher Columbus, I would have lived in the forest long before I chose to live in the forest, saved us all the enigma of those middle years, known all there is to know about fire, been a man of these times. My final poem is called Love Letter to the Future. In my love letter to the future, the world is ending. The world is ending around me as I hold on to the last slab of earth, hurtling through space to some new destination, a new chapter, solitary and short-lived, my last thoughts consumed with mourning for everything that went before. And my love letter to the future is a prayer for forgiveness. But in truth, the future is indifferent to me and you. In the future, the earth does not end. Only we humans, who have contributed so forcefully to others' extinction, while denying our own inevitable demise, our time is coming, as it has for all whose dominance tipped life's balance beyond their own sustainability. Always the conqueror who thinks they have won, blind to what has been lost. In my love letter to the future, I share a dream of a time when humans are no longer trotting this earth, and wild things without names roam and bloom and reach to a sky I can't see. I dream of a place I can never inhabit. The future will be a reimagining of an unremembered past, filled with creation and possibility and promise, marred only by the littered artifacts of styrofoam and Coke bottles. Roads will crack and buildings will crumble, and the living soil will emerge, gasping in the fresh air, awash in a vibrant sun and bathed in cleansing rain, birthing long buried vegetation and newly imagined beings into a world free from human intervention. We don't have to rely on science or imagination to understand extinction. We only need to feel the frailty of our own small lives to know the truth and inevitability of endings. We are not alone in our longing to love and be loved, not the only ones deserving of a future, and we will not be the last to inhabit this world. The final story of us will be told in a language without words. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Seth. There we go. I have to remember how I'm turning myself on and off. Oh, all right. Thank you, Seth. A couple words that stood out to me that you were from reading were uncertainty, unnamed, guidance, advice, and it reminded me of what I write about these days is ancestry, who I am, where I'm going, where I came from, and how it's all connected. And then immortality, in that all of my ancestors are alive through me, and all of my descendants will be alive, and I'll be alive through them. And through art and writing, just like Sonnet 18, if anybody is familiar out there, where he says, as long as men have eyes and eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. And so we can, with our writing, with our art, live forever and give life to those who have already gone. And so thank you very much for joining us, Seth. All right, up next is Rachel. Rachel. Let's see if it works. Pop up, say something, and then it'll change. It's been so long since I've done this. Oh my gosh.
Hello.
There we go. Perfect. All right, thank you, Rachel. Whenever you're ready.
Hi. Hello. My name is Rachel Ruiz. I'm from the San Gabriel Valley, and I'm going to be reading today something that I wrote about a month ago. The title. I was gonna say that this is untitled, but then recently I just came up with the last minute title. So as of right now, the title of this thing that I wrote is titled Unnoticed. So here it goes. The darkness in him no one sees but himself. He hides behind a blurry window while his mind stays repeating past struggles that still linger in his mind, like a constant reminder of the deep pain that is part of his story. He lives in silence with tape over his mouth, afraid to speak, afraid of not being liked. So instead, he takes out his pain on paper in hopes of connecting with the world. He has relationships that don't last, because no girl seems to understand him on the level he needs to be understood. At night, when he's alone, he lays in bed with earbuds on and cries to his favorite song, not for enjoyment, but for how relatable the song connects to his life. He once almost took his own life, but a loved one's voice is what made him not follow through. He wakes up every day, being the best version of himself that he can, but still the world brings him down. He and tries to change his mindset, but he fears that he's too fucked up from the trauma that still scars him. He gets tatted to express his story, like the graffiti you see on the walls that tell their stories. He's a walking miracle, a creative genius, and one of the sweetest guys to ever exist on this planet. He's always misunderstood, but hopes to be understood the way one understands a movie. He's quiet and secure sometimes, but he brings in the confidence with every heartbeat and breath he takes. He has the type of stare that can make one want to start a fight if they aren't familiar with his intense gaze. His mind is the map, his heart is the treasure. His writing abilities are like the gleaming stars that light up the path. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
No, no.
And for everybody watching, I'm not going to call you out in front of everybody, Rachel. But Rachel and I, we've known each other for, when did I start teaching? 2019. Oh my gosh, it's been that long.
Yeah,
And it's really cool to see the community grow and remain intact, because for so long, things that I've seen, and Rachel's writing, I think, kind of is an example of it, of the growth that we go through, the passion, the confidence we have in our voices. And my big philosophy these days is voice, is our voice. And that our stories, and Rachel, you've heard this 1,000 times, our stories are important to be told and shared. That doesn't mean people have to like it, but because they're ours, go out there and do it. And so I'm happy you made a title, because you know me, I'm all about titles. And I was like, that's got to have one. But thank you, Rachel. And so we're gonna have 2 more on Zoom, and then we're gonna experiment with the first person in person and see if it works. I think it will. I'm excited to see what happens. And so up next is someone that has been in our events before, but it's been a long time since we've heard their work and seen them, and it's really nice to have them back. So please, everybody, welcome Marcus.
Thank you very much, Matthew. I hope everyone can hear me all right. Don't want to scream or yell. My wife's in the other room. That's going to be a little odd. So I'll get started. I have a single poem and I wrote it a couple of days ago because I nearly forgot about this event. I'm like, ooh, I better like write something right now because I wanted to write something kind of fresh. And funny story, I connected last night thinking it was last night. And I'm like, why is no one here? So all kinds of good opportunities for me for better organization. But the name of this single poem that I'll be reading, and then I'll give a little bit of background on what inspired it, is called Dead Things Don't Grow. My wife forgot to water one particular pot. The roots faded beneath her, then started to rot. Soon each supple leaf became a dry brown, till the branches resembled a sparse woven crown. The flowers, once vibrant, all withered and died, till she wore the expression of the empty inside. At last we took notice and rushed her fresh water, if only to revive our beautiful daughter. But she had only 3 days, and we waited 4. We gave her moisture and shade, but none could restore. As if expecting a miracle, she still stands in our yard, as a collection of sticks and a motionless guard. This story unfolds as a lesson of woe. We can try all we like, but dead things don't grow. Neglect can be grievous if we fail to count the cost, not just for plants or flowers, but when the soul is lost. Christ taught that a tree may be known by its fruits. So let's examine your life and the state of your roots. If prayer were as water and the word of God as sun and light, then the condition of your soul would be defined by appetite. That's it. I am a chaplain at the Men's Central Jail in Los Angeles, and many of the men that I meet there that are in a terrible state, they believe themselves to be Christians. And I'm not there to judge anyone. I'm there to talk to them and engage with them with respect and love and kindness. But most of them identify as Christians. But when we talk to them about what it means to be a Christian, the growth that we experience in this new life once we dedicate ourselves to the Lord. And I've been doing this recently with something called the Wordless Book, where I'm sharing colors that represent these points of what's called the gospel to them. I get to the green page, which represents growth, represents change, represents maturity, and things like kindness and gentleness and love. And many of them don't have that. And the truth of the matter is that dead things don't grow. So they don't recognize their own estate. They kind of wander around as blind people spiritually, not knowing their own condition. So it's up to me and folks like me to share lovingly. This is actually the truth of what it means to be a Christian. If you are planted and rooted in Christ, as is taught in one place, for example, John chapter 15, then your entire life is different. You're not the same person. I'm a former alcoholic. I'm a former many things, too embarrassing to confess kind of in this space. But I've been changed because Christ has changed me. I actually do have a plant on the side of the house. It's dead. It's Julius Caesar. It's nothing but sticks. That totally inspired this. I'm like, yeah, I can water that all I want. I can put in the sun and the shade and treat it. It's not coming back. It needs a miracle. And we need a miracle from God if we're going to have our lives changed and know who He is. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you as always, Matthew, and good meeting you as well.
Thank you, Marcus. Thank you. And yeah, it's true about empathy, community, understanding, respect, and growth, and so on. And I'm gonna email you because I want to chat about prison work. I've been doing that also, and it's changed my philosophy, my pedagogy, and a lot of things. But thank you for sharing your work. I've been inspired by a plant before too, and it's really neat how nature and just life and death can all kind of capture our us and poetry and art and so on. Thank you, Marcus. All right, up next for until we have a not a break, but until we shift into the in studio, which you're gonna see your screen change because I spent a lot of time on this stuff and I really hope it works. This is my own experiment. This individual we met, I'm pretty sure, at one of the open mics in person, and then again little later on, and I was like, I think I know that guy, and then turns out it was the same person. So that was kind of neat. But glad that they're here to share with us, and I hope that we can have more and more events with everybody. So everyone, please welcome Martin.
Hi, my name is Martin. I firstly just want to apologize because I'm gonna have to leave shortly after I read because I had a prior commitment. But I do look forward to connecting with the people in this call. We'll be watching the YouTube later. I usually read in Spanish, but just to be mindful of time, I want to share two pieces. They're both translated from the original. So anyway, the first one is a healing spell. I believe in the power of poetry as witchcraft, and I wrote this for somebody very close to me who was going through something, and they're now on the other side. And I think many of us need healing because of the current events. So for anybody who needs this, this is for you. I declare permanence, like cells overflowing with early morning light. I declare plenitude, like the zenith beyond what we see in midair, the song of wild birds curlicued. I declare unsheathed numens, I declare the spawning of creatures fecund with magic that imagine a water sculpted by suns in a time yet to be conjugated over the glistening worn things that condense at midnight. I declare a mysterious knowledge, as if the sand repeated my name, waking those who are still here. There are minerals in the soil. There are starfish and sea urchins returning to sea. Tomorrow we will make bread, kneading it with our hands. Tomorrow our fire will read the rings of tree trunks. And then this next one I'm going to read is a very old, not very old, but an older poem that is for some reason resonating with me recently, so I thought I would share it. Dreams are ordered like memories and everyday objects. They depend on probability and their place in relation to others. They put something inside of something that is identical to something we have already lived, and that is quite frequently a habit. Their host is noted. In light of the assigned sequence, order, family, genus, species, we carry the same mark. We have always existed behind the golden keyhole through which the Cyclops spies, behind the voice that asks for the fulfillment of a dream, or is that memory not ours? Surrendering oneself to desire is to control what we can by yielding or withholding power as we hope for something in return. This is learned in the same way that we learn following and defying orders is key to getting out alive. But dreams are naturally disordered. They revert to their liquid form and burn, revolting against the new dream order, conformed harmony, and scared tactics. In the end, we see that dreams have no one place, and that something is always missing on the way back. Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you. And the declaration of healing, I think healing is huge these days. In class yesterday, it's the humanities, and we're trying to define the humanities, and a big part of what the students decided was what many times when we find the definition or the purpose, it is the use case, the result, and the product. And when we're writing toward healing, then we're doing something good. And when we have events, and part of the reason we are here together is to grow, to communicate, to be one with each other, and to heal and to unify, then I think big things happen. And with dreams, I think dreams are great. I have a lot of nightmares all the time, and so those dreams aren't that great, but they certainly can be. I think I've been trying to figure out how to use dreams as a tool instead of a weight. But thank you for being here, and we'll stay in touch, and maybe one day you'll be one of the in studio people, which we're gonna see if it works right now. But thank you again as always. All right, so everybody watching, the screen will change right now, and that is our in studio area. We're gonna have Ian, right? Yes. We're gonna test it out. I'm 90% sure the audio is working. I tested it a couple days ago, and then 3 hours today. And so Ian is my buddy, and he's gonna share some work, and he's gonna read some test material first. There he is. Oh, look, it's working. All right. So go ahead and talk. I'm gonna shut up, and I'm gonna see if I can hear it from my headphones also.
All right, so I guess I'm going to play around with some projection volume here. So I can see everybody on the Zoom screen. How does it sound in terms of clarity right now? Can you hear me at all, or just no? I'm not seeing any head reaction, so that's a no. That is a great point, Matthew. I did not unmute it on the Zoom screen.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so we're going to test out this new audio volume. We have a microphone in front of us. Does that sound fairly clear, or is it quiet, far away? I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up. Awesome. Okay. Great. So I'll read just a poem that I like, not my own, just to test out how this volume goes. So this is one that I recently came across. It's called "I Want to Die While You Love Me" by Georgia Douglas Johnson. I want to die while you love me, while yet you hold me fair, while laughter lies upon my lips and lights are in my hair. I want to die while you love me, and bear to that still bed, your kisses turbulent and spent, to warm me when I'm dead. I want to die while you love me, oh who would care to live, till love has nothing more to ask and nothing more to give. I want to die while you love me, and never see the glory of this perfect day grow dim or cease to be. So volume-wise, 2 thumbs up, 1 thumb up, meh, 2 thumbs. Okay, cool. So we can hear some clarity here. All right, so first, just pitching The Office. It's a really awesome place for any of you that are able to come out to this side of Los Angeles. There's just a cool space, like Matt said, to work in. There's a beautiful pond outside with koi fish and turtles. It's great. It's relaxing. But yeah, thank you for hosting this. Cool. All right. So I'm going to do 2 pieces, 2 personal pieces. And one, I guess this one will be the first one that I ever read the first time I showed up at an in-person one at the bar. And I'm sorry, Matt, I actually don't remember if this has a title or not. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But this was just in reaction to a 20-year pet friend of mine passing, and I really had a tough time with that. So this was a piece from that period. Every time that I now look your way, your body is no longer there. Just an empty space without a sound, and what you left behind that had to stay. In each of these despondent days, there's been a stream of thoughts from when our lives were wound, They make me stop and clench my teeth and fists as I recall that you are dead and gone. There's no good mornings that are left to say, or sweet dream wishes as I head to bed. Each step is now without your gaze on me. I'm just alone in rooms where once you used to tread. Thankfulness seems as what should abound for the years that sped beyond our grasp, but the fate that ferried you away will sting until my body's in the ground. And there's a crater where you used to lay, but in my chest is where it can be found. So that was the first one. And so the next one is going to be the first, I guess, non-form free verse, I guess, piece, which like I'm not super comfortable doing those, but this was like a little, maybe a few months ago. So I'm just going to try this one out. Also still 2 thumbs up for audio, 1 thumb up. Good. All right, cool. Okay, so this one, let me remember it off the top of my head here. Every day as the sun is setting, I imagine a rope from the heavens suspending that distant ball of light. And in that moment, I would give almost anything to keep the rays reaching out through each branch, for the warmth to remain upon the skin, to stay in its grace just a bit longer. But that time within a sunset is never enough. I have no control over that descending rope. That shimmering hypnotic star will touch the horizon again. Try as I might to reach out and pull it back into the sky, the dusk draws near despite my every protest. So in defeat, I pause. As the world around me is lulled to silence, in those final minutes where the inevitable is truly felt, therein lies a spiritual moment we all can share. An unrivaled collage of light, color, and beauty, paired with the sadness of a departing friend. It matters not that we expect to see that friend tomorrow. There is something reverent in the conclusion of each day, and there is always the chance of some unplanned sorrow, for one of these will be our last before we fade. So I will continue to watch that sun and rope descend until these eyes no longer see the final ray. That's the second one. All right. I'll read one more that is not mine, just to take up another minute here. This is Mary Oliver, who I've been reading lately, and it was just a great little piece about constructing poems that I enjoyed, called That Little Beast. So that pretty little beast, a poem, has a mind of its own. Sometimes I want to crave apples. Sometimes I want it to crave apples, but it wants red meat. Sometimes I want to walk peacefully on the shore, and it wants to take off all its clothes and dive in. Sometimes I want to use small words and make them important, and it starts shouting the dictionary, the opportunities. Sometimes I want to sum up and give thanks, putting things in order, and it starts dancing around the room on its 4 furry legs, laughing and calling me outrageous. But sometimes, when I'm thinking about you, and no doubt smiling, it sits down quietly, one paw under its chin, and just listens. All right, that's it for me. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, you're next.
Not yet. Let me do something. All right, it worked. So before the next person in the studio appears, everybody watching, one of the questions that we were kind of thinking of today was, well, there were a couple. How do we get the people on Zoom to hear me and to hear each other? And then how do we get the people in person to hear the people on Zoom? And then how do we get the people on Zoom to also hear the people in person? And then can everybody hear everybody online? But thank you, Ian. And you all see Lavelle up there. But very quickly, what I'm reminded of from Ian's work is loss and time, and how it all kind of sucks, but doesn't get better. But I think we get a little better. And then from what I remember of Mary Oliver when I was in college, it was a lot of nature. And back then I was like, oh man, I don't care about this kind of stuff. But as I've been climbing the ladder of years, I've realized there's more power in it than I thought back then. And so anyway, thank you. Thank you, Ian. Thank you for helping out with the audio and everything. And up next is Lavelle, and we have always had great conversations, and I'm looking forward to it later today. But you were all in for a treat, so whenever you're ready, Lavelle.
Hello, my name is Lavelle Brown. Professor Matthew was my teacher, a great English teacher. Definitely helped me to not only to evolve just in reading and writing, right? And so he invited me to go to a couple of, the open mics. And be honest with you, this is going to be my third time just really doing open mic stuff, right? So I did one I called on silence, was the first one. That was on slavery. And the other one was Make It Make Sense. And that was on religion, God. And so when Matthew hit me up with a text, I said, wow, okay. Do I want to speak or I don't want to speak? What I'm going to talk about? So for me, this is new. So I said, okay. So I just started browsing around the internet. And I came across a good piece, didn't have a name on it, and it was a relationship. I said, okay, wow, how can I tie it in what I wrote and just bring it together? So, and bring it together. Sorry about that. So, bear with me. I'm gonna try to express it a little bit more, and hopefully it makes sense. I think this is a great piece for sure. This is the first piece I found on the internet I thought was really, really good. My piece I wrote, tied in together, pondered around. I said, okay, I think I can pull this off of Matthews. So here we go. Let me see. If I lied to you, will you believe me? Can you look in my eyes and still see me? Can you look at all my flaws with awe and choose not to leave me? Can you see how my suffering is grace? I breathe deeply with pace so I don't lose my place. I'm just a boy inside looking for grace, running from myself, trying to create space from the shit that I carry. I don't expect you to hold on while I drop off my bags, place to place. Sometimes the handle gets sticky. It's hard to let go when it gets gritty. Dear woman, I am sorry for every man had took advantage of you. The one who built a campsite inside of you, there was no foundation. The one that can love you, your heart, body, and soul, carry your baggage, make it whole. Dear woman, God's going to place someone in your place, not inclined and not to be declined. He's going to respect your beauty, your integrity, your spirit, intellectual star. Dear woman, but it's God who made you as beautiful than you are. Dear woman, one day a man will come your way, brush away all your fears. Fears, fears, fears. Dear woman, this is you. Got messed up on some stuff, but oh, okay.
All right, so wait, I gotta put myself back here. So let's switch back to this place. All right, so Julie, you'll go after this next person, okay? Oh wait. How am I gonna do this? Let's see. There we go. All right. So everybody online, thank you, Lavelle. And well, Lavelle we spoke about a little bit of our conversations in class, and I'm always reminded of our conversations. And one big thing of my classroom philosophy these days has been about the human. And so I try to speak with the students as humans, not just in the classroom. How do their lives connect in my class, in an English composition class, for example, to their careers, their jobs, their past, their lives, and everything else in between. And Lavelle is proof of that. And I had an event where I was reading, and I invited Lavelle. He showed up, and then I kind of nudged him, "Hey, it's your turn. You got to go up there and do it." And he did, and it was fantastic. And I was able to see him as a person, not just a person in the class. And then we get to see their humanity, their personality, and everything else. It's just fantastic to see how art plays a role in that. And then we can have these events, and everybody from everywhere is welcome to join. You can join online, of course, as we made that work, in person, how we made that work, and of course through our social media, which is on the screen right now. Nervous Ghost Press on Instagram, X, Facebook, YouTube, and our website. So we'll have one more person on Zoom virtually, and then we'll go back to in studio because I want to practice doing both and going back and forth. And so, Barba, if you're ready, go ahead and say something just so that the Zoom screen changes to you, and then I'll introduce you. There we go. So everybody, you're gonna see Barbara up here, right here next to me. Oh wait, I turned it off. There it is. All right, so up next is Barbara. He's up in, I think, Santa Cruz, San Jose, Santa Cruz. Oh wait, I turned my microphone off. There we go.
On Saturday in UC Santa Cruz. So this is the first time doing the Zoom stuff like this. I'm usually always trying to break first times of everything, right? So Matthew always tries to push me into doing things that I'm not comfortable with. So here's one thing that I'm not comfortable with, but I'm gonna push on because we are poets.
Hell yeah! All right.
And I'm currently in the creative writing concentration in poetry here at UC Santa Cruz, and I usually try to do as much as writing as possible. And I always like to do like the first drafts of everything, share them, and good thing that it's going to be here forever, because now the first version of this will be here, and I'll come back and look at it while I'm editing it in the future. And kind of personal pieces a little bit, little fiction, nonfiction, and all three. So I'll start off with the first one. It's called Homenaje. It's called Homenaje a Vallejo. Gary Young's explanation to black stone line on white stone. Es verdad lo que pienso, pero no te lo puedo explicar en detalles simples. Me pongo mal cuando hablo del vacío, porque vivir es todo lo que conozco en este mundo. I think about death more often than I live. I stop celebrating birthdays and going to family gatherings, anything that pertains to socializing, because I don't want to get too attached to losing those I dearly love. ¿Y por qué me miras así? I'm telling you the truth and how complicated it is. It's easier to let go if I never held on, because Vallejo stated that he was born on the day God was sick, that it was raining. And if that were true, then I was born on the day God was high on LSD, vibing at Woodstock, sun beaming at 82 degrees, and dehydrated. I believe this is what made my anxiety grow immensely thick. And another thing, why did he place the tree of knowledge and good of evil in the middle of Eden in the first place? Look, I digress, but what is there to be afraid of if we don't have the capacity to know what it feels like? So that was the first piece. Thank you. This second one, I'm always I don't like to title things sometimes. I wrestle with titling, because what are you gonna title something, right? It's like, I don't know, it comes into mind, like, I'm gonna title this piece, but it has to do with the burnings that happened in LA. And I wasn't back home, so I was just getting information from the news outlets and stuff like that, right? So this is a piece about the burning in LA, and I titled it, was it the high winds? LA is burning, and little BB wonders what really caught fire, because clouds of embers and ash engulf the city, the high winds ousting wildlife and people from their homes. How wrong they were to trust nature. flames etched in their memories. So he feels guilty about the time he took money from his mother's purse. He lied about needing $10 for bubblegum, chips, and spent the money on a nudie mag to share with his boys during sleepovers. LA is burning and it's not quite Pompeii, yet the flames in the city are lighting BB's pants on fire, which has been burning for years. Thank you. That's the second piece. And this last piece is a little, I guess an homage to my dad. I don't, this time away from home has really made me miss the times that we had. So like being away from him for this long has, I don't know, has that separation anxiety when it comes to like a family, right? And so I wrote a piece about him and I called it the lighter. He doesn't smoke though. Figure the lighter. It's been a long time since I thought of my father sitting at the dining room table where he would make his morning avena. He poured honey in his canela. I got that from him. And read the newspaper. Then he learned how to use a phone. He scrolled an endless number of videos on the internet. If there weren't any deportes on the tele, it became our new favorite pastime. He never smoked, but was handy with the lighter and carried one for emergencies. He will say something about never knowing when you'll need one. Last night, I lit a cigarette with my father's lighter. Thank you. Thank you, that was it. That's all I had to share today. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here and sharing your work. And I don't think I've ever told you, but I'm going to tell everybody on YouTube and who's watching. So just, don't listen, I suppose. But every time Barbara comes to the open mics, I'm always like, hey, you should go read something. And he's like, I might be working on something. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. But almost, it's like 99% of the time, he still does. And he puts himself, as he said, in that uncomfortable position. And as we get more and more and more uncomfortable, we start to be more and more and more comfortable and in our voices. And every time he does it, it's fantastic. And it comes from a place that is honest and genuine. And I'm always excited to listen to his work. So thank you. Thank you for being here, tuning in from where you are. And when you're, I don't know, with spring break, whenever it is, you got to come down here and be in person with us. All right. Thank you. So now I need to go back to the studio. He's over there. And this is going to be Julia. And so today, before I, let's see, I need to do this, I think. Yes. Ian, is it unmuted over there?
Unmuted, yep.
Perfect. All right. There's so many steps. But so, and Julia, I'll tell you too, before I started, I think I need to turn this one off. I don't know why it keeps turning off. Let me know if there's I think the echo is gone. Okay. Today, so I was setting up the audio, making sure everything works. I got the microphone working, the other microphone working, and then I went, oh my gosh, if someone has music, I need another microphone for the music. And I really hope it works. And we're gonna find out. But everybody, please welcome Julia.
Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear this? Yeah? Okay, cool. Kind of? All right. So I recently wrote this as, a new song, so I might forget some of the lyrics. Disclaimer. Okay. It's been a while since I've seen your face. Talk around town is that you've been staying at different places. So it came as no surprise when you dropped by with the excuse that you left some things behind. You greeted me with, hey girl, I miss your smile. I followed up with, why don't you stay a while? So you slid past by me and you graced my hand. Turned halfway you said that they're headed a different direction. That explains the situation. We were never friends, but we had many benefits, as frequent flyers usually do. We enjoyed the sights, but never stuck the landing, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Thanks, guys.
How long did it take you to write that?
Like a week. And I think I have a minute or so, I'll play one more song. It's an old song. And someone mentioned being an alcoholic back in the day, so this song's about that, if I could find it. It's called, you know what, I don't know where it's at. It's just such a old song. But, I don't know, I was self-taught since I was about 15, but then I stopped playing for a very long time, like for years at a time. And so, yeah, I still don't know how to read music, but I know how to read tabs. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So this is called Self-Prescribed. Self-prescribed medication numbs the pain and frustration of not being satisfied with myself and my life. There's got to be more, if not in, then out, if not up, then down, if not here, then there. If I ain't wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, well, fuck, I'm wrong. But my options are gone, and there's nothing left to say. So have it your way. Self-prescribed medication sometimes breaks concentration, sometimes helps the conversations. And I'm trying to figure out a better way out. I just don't know how. And there's got to be a better way. If not in, then out. If not up, then down. If not here, then there. If I ain't wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, well, fuck, I'm wrong. My options are gone, and there's nothing left to say. So have it your way. Self-prescribed medication sometimes breaks concentration. I don't know how to end that song. Oh, thank you guys. Usually I just play guitar in my room by myself, and I usually just read my poetry, so yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you for being here. And we are going to, let's see, Tara, can you say something on Zoom so that so it changes? And then Ian is going to mute it. Oh, perfect. Okay. Let me wait. Hold on. I gotta switch the screen.
Real quick, so just let me know if the audio quality is kind of funky.
I think you should. I think you're good. I got it set up on my screen, and I'm gonna disappear everybody.
Awesome.
Tara, go ahead.
Okay. As I switch over to the poetry, my camera might disappear. I'm running on my phone just because my computer's down for the count. But anyway, this piece reflects a lot on just this really bad relationship I had a while ago. And so it's a combination of anger and sadness and just a bunch of other emotions. but I feel like I can constructively read it now that it's all over and I've moved past it. So there's something to be said for poetry as a time capsule for things that will pass. So this is called 5 More Minutes Alone. I'm not angry, damned if I can ever be, anything more than torn up, trying to remember how we used to be. Not in pictures, not that smile for the frame, but in body, in the way that we fit together after banter from the passenger seat, crawling into bed. Just glad we got 5 more minutes. I wouldn't know your voice unless you raised it, but I'll be damned trying to hear, soft as you spoke after sundown, promising to take care of me, too scared to ask for the same. What I can feel held in my chest, where anger should have been, is riding backseat to men that meant nothing more than a night's warm bed, even if all they were good for was a minute and a week's worth of company louder than mine. Was that all I was to you? A convenient shadow, inconveniently quiet with no volume to turn, just silence to bear. Something you couldn't read as love, but as a hint of the loneliness you tried so hard to hide from. I'll be damned if you call me a monster. It's a deep cut, an easy answer to call an ex insane. Put their memory to pasture in a neat box with a note never to open it for fear of reflection. Feelings too big to face alone. God, I'm damn lonely too, and I'm so tired of loving you on my own. That's the piece.
Thank you. Oh, I gotta put myself back on. There's so many buttons for me to press over here. It's ridiculous. But anyways, thank you for sharing. And what I am reminded of, is happiness, feelings, love, relationships. All these things are so complicated. But also, if there were a positive in everything, and this is when we write about life and death and trauma and all those things, it's sometimes I try to find. I mean, it's nice to say it was there. Like, we got to experience this cool stuff, and we're living. And I've been surrounded by enough death. I think so, where just even the hard parts of life is like, hey, we're alive, we're here. We got to communicate with each other, and that's why it's so fantastic that you're here with us sharing work, and Julia was here sharing work, and sharing work oftentimes that we don't usually share. I think that's where the power is, and the true strength of it, where we go and we share the stuff we're comfortable with, and the notebooks and the work we read all the time at every reading. I think a lot of people have those. I certainly do. And then we share that piece that we didn't want to share, but in that moment we said, I think I'm gonna do it, and we feel good, and it feels better, and our shoulders get a little lighter. And so I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy that Julie is here, and everybody in the studio, everyone who is watching, and those who have read. If you have questions, remember, I always have a couple questions I write down for our conversation at the end. But if anybody's out there, send it, email it, text it, send it to the social medias and all the other accounts. And while I introduce our final speaker of the evening before that, and I think it's someone new. It's really cool to meet people, and it's hard because I get all these emails, and I feel like I know so many people, and then I see the face and I see the person, and I get all confused. But anyways, so our final speaker for this evening, Alexandria, when you're ready, take it away.
Can you hear me? Hello. Hello, everyone. And thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being here. Special thanks to Matt and the Nervous Ghost Press team for having me. I'm very honored to be here for the first time, and I've loved hearing everybody's words. Very inspirational, very moving. My name is Alexandria Roswick. I'm from Wyoming, but right now I'm in New Hampshire, so the time difference it's much later here. But it's been really fun tonight, and I didn't know that I was going to be last, but this is great. I am a disabled, neurodivergent, and chronically ill novice poet. My work wholly encompasses trauma from sexual assault. And I say this not only as a content trigger warning, but also because it's not something that I'm ashamed of or want to hide away from. It is just a reality that needs to be spoken by those who can, so that those who choose not to speak or those other survivors feel less shame about their experiences. And this is why, as a poet, I am passionate about exploring themes of womanhood, mental illness, social injustice, and transformation through healing. I often have to remind myself that recovery from trauma is not linear, but writing through it serves as evidence of progress. Before I read my poem, I wanted to plug my Substack newsletter, intended to create a safe space for the survivor community. It's called Eternal Metamorphosis on Substack. I'm also on Medium and Instagram at Alexandria Roswick. And I just, despite all the drama on TikTok, I just started my poetry page at Alex Metamorphosis. And so for my poem, I wrote last October, or last November, really. Last Halloween, I dressed up as Medusa, and I've felt a special connection to her story, as many survivors of sexual assault do. And for those of you who may not know the full story, I'm going to give a little bit of context before I read my piece. Medusa was a woman in Greek mythology known for her beauty, who took a vow of celibacy and pledged her devotion to the goddess Athena, the goddess of war. However, Poseidon, god of the sea, fell in love with Medusa and decided he wanted her, and whether she wanted him or not was of no consequence to him. He raped her in Athena's temple, and Medusa ran to Athena for help after, but she instead blamed Medusa, and cursed her for breaking her vow of celibacy. Athena, being notorious for jealousy and revenge, transformed Medusa into a horrifying snake-haired Gorgon whose stare could turn any man to stone, and she was banished to the Gorgon Island. And after that, the gods long conspired about how to kill her because she was very powerful. She was eventually beheaded by Perseus, who used Athena's weapon, the harp. And after the beheading, directly after the beheading, 2 children actually sprung from her neck, and one of those children was Pegasus. Her head was then placed on Athena's shield, which was used to save Andromeda among many important battles. There are many versions and tellings of this myth, and there is much more to her story, I'm sure, and there's more to mine too. So while I was doing my Halloween makeup, I was also writing a poem that included a little bit of both of us. My poem is titled Medusa's Final Plea. I know you're charging ahead to retrieve mine. Will you take me like Poseidon? Will you scathe me like Athena? Both betrayals worse than the death that awaits, I almost anticipate. One of you will best me, be it the congregating crowds with pitchforks, or the weak and now winged demigod they'll call brave for sneaking into my chamber during serpent slumber. Slay me at the nape, wrestle my dearest pets. Use me beyond my last breath and deprive me of a grave. I see it etched in my fate, like the statues past that decorate my cave. The warmth of lava and burgeoning shadows provide the only home I can know. I won't prepare, I won't wait. I might gaze out at the feudal beauty of my island, while nobody dare gaze upon mine. The intrusion of its ceaseless shores reminds me of him. I torture myself and imagine what it'd be like to be seen again, the new me. I once was, and maybe this cruel irony is for the best. It only took one look to stir the cyclones born ages ago in lecherous eyes he laid upon me. This was the first time I was punished for what his gaze inspired, because he never returned to destroy what his storm left in ruin. Once and for all, he discarded my slithering skin after use, so the ruin went on and on and on. Listen, I pled to Athena for a godly reason, back when I believed. It wasn't what he said, but what she said was decided, even though it was an invasion. I was stolen. It wasn't simple. Should I have fought without help from the gods? How should I have thieved his mighty trident? Maybe you think I should have stayed indoors, hidden away from those who compare us, the fairest of them all. I said no, or nothing, and no one heard. I was taken, and no one saw. It was decided. I pledged then, because they will never see, to perceived villainy. What else? Slinky scales and forked tongues. I see my beauty, and so will you for a brief moment. Let it be the last. Let it be known. Let me be seen and heard this way then. Listen, look, see the pain in my eyes before you fossil. I spend my days counting down hours, lurking around, hollering at ornaments with hollow minds, and every now and then, the piercing roar of his waves. Athena, goddess of logic, with your femininity flimsy as Olympian mercy, curse me again. Any other way, let me love my reflection. Let me fly into the sun. Let me roll the boulder. Let my liver be plucked by the eagle. Or fetch my skull. End my eternal punishment. You wouldn't face me to do it, would you? You wouldn't confront me yourself. You're afraid to see, to know it wasn't simple, that your banishing spell was plagued with irony, that you'll need me beyond demise, or that beauty can still spout from me. Behind my tail, as my eyes are closed and my serpents snore, someone will prevail. Just neither God responsible for your monster's creation. The isolation of injustice thrives by the design of the political puzzle weaved by powers I once wished to appease. No more. Hear me now. You are who you follow and what myths you believe. No more. You are where your cowardly loyalty lies under the guise of normalcy. No more. Let your legacy be that you praised predictability. Let me die with mine. That you needed the harp of a fraudulent peacemaker to silence my defensive roar. I rattled you with mere words, breath, and my frigid, unforgettable stare. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I think mythology is a great tool to use. And it's really what you wrote and what your story is. It proves how powerful, truly powerful art is, and how we can use it and come together as communities to heal and to unify and so on, as I always say. And I hope that in the future, after today, you never say you're a novice poet. It's official now. You are a poet, and because poetry comes from here. And the minute you put it on paper, the minute you speak it into existence, it is a poem. It's art. It's real, always. And I think there is such power and strength in using paper as I have paper. We can manipulate paper. We can control it. We can rip it. We can set it on fire. We can eat it. We get the heaviness outside of our chests, and we put it into something that becomes a tool for us to utilize and to use to grow. And so thank you for being here. Okay, so now the difficult part. And I thought the earlier part with can the Zoom people hear the in-person people can hear the Zoom people was going to be tough. But with our Q&A discussion, I think we have to have everybody on the same screen. So I'm going to show you what I have. But very quickly. And you're going to hear this. Lavelle, are you two okay with being on camera?
Oh, sure.
Both of you?
They're currently on right now.
Well, no, not on YouTube. But they said yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So, because, you're all going to see this. So, in my plans, I have a Q&A discussion with everybody. And you're going to see your screen change. And I'm going to change the Zoom screen. is it? Gallery. Oh wait, I need to turn my, so everybody, you're all visible again. And I need to make myself visible, which means I need to go back to the other screen. Hold on. See, I always forget how to do this. Let's say this one. I need to turn myself off. I can't just turn it off. I have to deactivate it. In case anyone knows what I'm working on, you can help me out at some point in the future. Okay, deactivated, and then I turn myself on Zoom. So now you can all see me on Zoom again. So we're back to normal. Okay, cool. Here we go. And then I go to discussion. Wait, wrong one. Here we go. So my plan was to have the Zoom discussion. And so those of you watching on YouTube can see it shows everybody on Zoom. And on the other side, it shows our studio. But because of the audio, I'm thinking the way we should have it is only the Zoom screen with the camera on the people who are here in person. I think that's how the audio is going to work. And then I just have to turn off my speakers when someone on Zoom is talking so that the speakers for that computer don't catch it. I don't know. I think that'll work. But I'll just have the first question anybody can answer online or in person. And it's always I don't know, it's a similar question, I guess, that I like to ask, but it's how do you all, and this is everyone, how do you kind of connect the human, the human with you, the art and the product? Because for a lot of people I know that I speak with my students, and when I write, it's difficult sometimes to get critique on what you write because it feels like they're critiquing us, the human. But oftentimes they're critiquing the product. But you made the product with a lot of your blood, your tears, your sweat, your stress, your trauma, your aches, and so on. So how are we supposed to connect it? How are we supposed to distance ourselves from it? And is it even possible to say, oh, that's just that thing I made over there. It's not me. Versus every poem I write is a piece of me. I don't even know if that makes sense, but go ahead. I got my ghost cup today.
Or up to the computer.
Yeah, so if you're gonna talk to the computer.
Oh, okay. Get you on.
Oh. No, wait, no. Both. Okay, can you grab the microphone?
Which over
We're doing some stuff because, well, you're gonna find out.
Figuring it out, guys.
You may have to walk it closer to me, and then I'll drag it behind that little wall. This is gonna work, I promise. All right, let's figure this out. So the thing is, I think what we have to do. No, bring it this way. Throw it like unhook it and then throw it at me. And maybe I should do unhook it. No, okay.
I'm so sorry. Okay, cool. What's the?
Go under. This is totally gonna work. Is it on the wall?
Real paper dapper. Real picture.
I switched to cheddar, but now I'm wishing I would have done it back.
It's real bad. It's like a turn.
Gonna work. Gonna work. Okay, now. I totally figured it out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, but learn from it.
Okay, so now when we answer questions,
Faster. Cool. Welcome, sir.
Because that has to hear the vote.
Okay. All right, here we go. Sit down. So you two might.
Okay, so for everybody watching and for those on Zoom, I think what we did, so when someone in studio was talking in that little staging area we have, the computer was listening so that the people on Zoom could hear, and then the microphone was getting the audio to YouTube. And so now that we're gonna have the people on Zoom sit in front of the computer, they need the computer audio and the microphone. And so I think it's gonna work. This is my expertise as a not audio person. But so I think Lavelle, you're gonna go ahead. Go ahead. I'm gonna turn my. I have to turn off my speakers and then turn them on every time someone talks. I think it's gonna work. I think we got it.
This question is like a kickoff point for everyone. Okay, my name is Lavelle Brown. For me, just starting out being not only speaking, but deep thought. And I always like poetry because when I used to go listen to them, like, wow, that was deep. How did they come up with that thought? But now that I'm beginning to be a writer, I can see you really have to go deep into your soul, your experiences.
And then at the same time, if you're doing it in public, you can feel the audience, right? And then if you can feel the audience, and then you'll go a little bit more with your movement, you know, your eye movement, your body language, and connect with the audience. And especially if you know you're gonna do this for a lifetime, because again, you're gonna be selling books, you know, CD. Your work is out there; it can never be returned back. So for me, I like, you know, starting to get out in public, get the feel of it, work on some pieces. Now I know they call them pieces. I like to name them really, because I think once you give a name, it brings your piece to life. You know, like when I first, you know, my professor Matthew, who was in Downey, and I gave a speech, and I didn't know I was gonna go up and speak. I'm like, ooh, I got something on my mind. And again, it was reparation that was dear to me. It was hurting me, and then I call that silence. And then, you know, he invited me to another location, and I was, you know, telling my friends, oh, I gotta go up and speak again. What can I call this? And then I was looking around at the audience. I said, you know what? Make it make sense. And tonight, you know, again, Professor Matthew invited me to come out. I was still nervous now, but I'm like, wow, what can I talk about? How can I just now bring my experience and what I'm reading about, bring it to life, and hope that it can touch someone, you know? So I'm sure one day, you know, I'm going to be a great poet, you know, so that's me. So I'm trying to be better every day. Yeah. Hopefully my words can heal people as well, too. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah, thank you, Matthew, for the question about separating, you know. Not taking it personally, right? And people don't like our stuff. I think that's huge sometimes as a writer and as an artist, you know, because we tend to sometimes bring our pieces very close to us. We bring personal experiences into our pieces. And I think what has helped me is just realizing that, you know, not everyone's gonna like every single poem I write or every single like song I write. Not everyone will be able to relate with some of the things I write about. And being able to draw that healthy distance between that and when I create is just honestly selfishly for me. It's more to get those emotions out and be able to create and say, oh, I made that. And my son always makes fun of me because like I record myself and I listen to myself in the car. And it's just because it's for me. It's like not for anybody else, but for me. I like my stuff. But it's not something that I really like perform all the time, especially with my music. But I think it's healthy for me to be able to make something from sometimes very painful experiences because we get to reshape them and they become something new and we grow with it. And my son told me once that that you get to shape experiences because, you know, you attach new memories to those exact same experiences. So whereas something was very painful before, when we create something from it, and then someone comes up to us after a show and they're like, oh, I could really relate, and you feel, form that connection. It's like it kind of takes power away from the pain, and it adds more to like the connection with other human beings. So, just recognizing that, it's people are not always gonna like our stuff, and it's okay. Just we do it just to heal.
Absolutely. I think it's all right. So, does anybody on Zoom want to chat? Because I'm just, again, thank you for everybody. Thank you for being patient with me and with all of this. So I'm learning if, for example, while we're doing these Q&A things, when they're chatting in person, my speakers have to be turned off. Otherwise, that computer over there hears it and it gets funky. And then I was thinking, okay, how will YouTube listen to someone on, let's say Barbara wants to chat, that goes from my speakers. And so then it's, okay, now mute that computer and I'll unmute my computer. But anyways, it's kind of funny. But since I called you out already, Barbara, you want to say anything?
Oh, I mean, I feel like I'm relearning everything, what it takes to separate art with the human or the writer. When I used to start off writing as a young kid, as a child, this is gonna be frowned upon, but I think I told you before. I used to plagiarize. That's how I used to. That's how I learned how to write. I used to plagiarize other people's work. Never submitted it though, right? But I would use that to cultivate my own mindset and like what I could do with those words. And then I started off being a rule breaker, or like from the start. So I was totally a bad writer. That's now like over the years of like education and stuff like that, like, and like here right now, in this point in time, I was able to be taught that you have to learn grammar. You have to learn the ability of grammar first in order to have the fundamentals of separating the writer perspective into the art perspective. And one of my mentors here on campus is Gary Young. He's like very prolific poet and author, and I have learned a whole bunch of stuff from him. And he dabbles in prose. That's his forte, and he does a whole bunch of prose poetry. And then I'm able to just take that all in, and then realize that I never had the opportunity to understand grammar in my youth, so I never understood how to really navigate through that realm in language. But like now, I have an idea of like how you could separate the two. So like if you master grammar, you could separate anything, anything in general, and that's something that I'm gonna take as a student of language and writing. And hopefully I can master it as everybody can.
And also thinking about plagiarism, and maybe not plagiarism, but as a learning tool, there's nothing wrong with it.
No.
Because again, you're not taking credit for it. But when I was starting to write, this artist guy, you can't see it. He used to write poems, and I would copy the poems. I would copy the rhyme scheme. I would copy the stresses, I would copy every syllable to everything, sound by sound. And then at some point, you're copying it and copying it and copying it, and then you realize, hey, wait a minute. At some point, it's me. And then your style starts to emerge, and the same thing goes as we start to get more comfortable speaking in public. And as I've been talking more and more in public, every lecture, every assignment, every so on, I used to, if you all knew me back in the day, which none of you do, it would be unheard of. But you create this persona in your head. I tell my students, maybe Matthew can't, but Super Matt can, or Mega Matt, or whatever thing. You create this character of your own, and you go out there and you talk in front of strangers. And after a couple of times, you're going to say, hey, isn't it me? And then you're able to do it. But yeah, thank you for sharing.
I wanted to add something else if it's possible.
Yeah.
Just to that, I started out with lyrics, with music. That's how I got a grasp of tonality and vocabulary and key signatures too. So like music also helps with having a powerful vocabulary and like idea of like how writing should be too. So like even like the whole concept of like having classical music or something playing in the background actually helps your mind too. So like to like navigate through that realm as well. So like that's also something that's been helping too over the years, and hopefully it's a good tool to utilize as well.
That's why too. I'm always excited when Julia sings something or when Emery sings something or when people come in and bring music because they're so connected. And if you are a musician, you're a writer. If you're a writer, you're a musician. You just may be a musician that doesn't play an instrument. You're still a musician. You could be a painter that paints with a pen and letters instead of images and brushstrokes. And some people might get mad at me for that, but too bad. I've already had enough people get mad at me, right? Who's one more? And it really does prove how connected the arts are. And in my quest, I suppose, to focus on the human, it's because we're human. And if I'm studying architecture back when I was a draftsman, I was doing poems still. And when you're working on engineering, you're doing some type of art. When you're working on science, it's art. Because I'll look at a giant formula, physics, whatever science it is, I can't do it. It looks like art to me. And if we had this understanding, as we all do, and this communication style that we have, where everything we do is art because we are human, and one of the basic things of humans is art. Because when we're sad, we go to art. We listen to that song. We watch that movie. And we cry or we get angry. We throw things. And if we can capture it as we do on paper, typing, and so on in these events, then I think we're closer to removing those horrible things that we exist in this world and creating something great and fantastic in it. And so, does anybody on Zoom want to chat before I have to turn off my microphone or to let someone else in person chat? It's this is such a weird dynamic that we're doing, but I love it. Or any questions or comments or things that just appeared in your mind? Something funny I do in class is, hold on, am I turned off? No, I'm not. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Okay, no, I'm not. I have meters on my screen, and it shows when stuff is happening. But I tell my students I'm super petty. And so, for example, you could all see Ian over there. Oh man, wait, on the Zoom screen you can't see Ian. Half of your face is blocked. I gotta figure it out. It's weird. Anyways, but I can see you. And I'll say I will sit here in silence while everybody just goes, "Who's gonna talk?" And then Rachel says, "I don't want to talk. Barbara just talked already." And then Alexander says, "Oh, I have an idea, but I don't know if I want to share it." Everybody is welcome to share it. But Lavelle has something. Oh, Ian has something. Okay, wait. No, who is that? I need to mute my speaker, and then Ian will chat. I need to turn this off and turn this on. All right, go ahead.
Okay. It was just a thought related to what you just said there is like my day job is sort of working in mental health, and I have conversations with a lot of different therapists, and a therapist was speaking to me about like being comfortable with the uncomfortable and with silence, and that's something I really had to learn in this new role is just organically like letting the group, the room, whatever it is, generate some sort of energy or some sort of thought, not necessarily forcing it, because I used to be, I still am to a degree, but a person who would like not be able to let that silence sit. I have to generate something to like cut the awkwardness or whatever it is. But then it's not like a fully vetted thought, and it's not allowing I guess, the people in the room to sort of meet where everybody's at. It's like cutting off the flow that's sort of generating. I don't know how to say that, but so I am resonating with what you just brought up, Matt, right there. That's all I really wanted to say. And then in terms of Barba, I had a question because you brought up sort of incorporating music. I'll probably ask this like at future get-togethers as well, but I'm curious if you all listen to music when you write. Like, do you have playlists? Do you have artists or genres or lo-fi or whatever it is, something that you put on in the background as you're trying to capture this emotion that you're going through? So that's my question posed to everybody.
Great. All right. So while we transition to an answer from someone online, we have to mute this one, unmute. All right. So you three, do any of you listen to music while you write?
I have a different artists of who I listen to. How do I explain this? Like, so like, there's some where I just listen to lo-fi music, and then there's some times where I just listen to like one of my favorite bands, and I don't know, I find it inspiring. It helps me and inspires me to like, I guess like, kind of start my own writing. If that makes sense. That's how the one I read today, or tonight, actually came about. Yeah, I don't know. So, it does help for me.
Do you find, and this is for everybody, if you do listen to music, does it have to be music without lyrics?
I was gonna go into that right now. I have this routine where if I'm writing this sort of piece, whichever it is, I tend to listen to no lyrics to help me with the visuals and the story of like what I'm writing. In between that, I'll take no lyrics, music out, and in my break, I'll listen to songs that have lyrics incorporating in to help with that story flow. So like interchangeably, you have like two sets of outlets to help you navigate through a storytelling between visuals and helping you incorporate this language that forms through those. So like I go back and forth. If it gets too much, I tend to let it go for a while and try to work it in silence if I can. If I like going back to like the painter's brush and like the canvas. And if not, I'll just continue doing that routine back and forth until I get something on the page.
Great. All right, we're gonna figure this out. All right, so here we go. Hold on. Wait. Alexandra, go first. Alexandra, go first.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but I have to listen to a podcast when I'm writing. I have to listen to people talking because other people's conversations is a huge inspiration for me. It really, I'm just so curious about other people's ways of thinking in their mind. So anytime I listen to a podcast, it kind of just gets the creative juices flowing. When I'm listening to music, I'm relaxing. My mind is kind of just numbing and I'm like letting it like wash over me basically. So I'm too focused on the music really, but listening to podcasts actually helps me a lot.
That's a really good point. While we set up the in studio microphone, it's a really good point where, and I think similar is, you know, sometimes people are talking and they're sharing things and your mind goes, oh my gosh, I see it, like I got it right, and that's a great thing too, because
Exactly, that's what I was thinking.
it's a really cool human trait that you can say something unrelated to anything I've ever experienced or even thought about, and then it pops something in my mind and I create the greatest poem I've ever written ever. And It's so fantastic. Okay, so I need to mute my speakers. And Lavelle, go ahead.
Yeah. For me, it is deep thinking, right, and really quiet. And so
I would try to ponder and ponder. I said, okay, what I want to write about, what I want to write about. And then I just start throwing out different words, you know, whether it's love, peace, happiness, sad. And then from there, I try to choose words that's going to rhyme with something emotional. And then I try to bring it back something happy. And then I go back something sad. And then I go back something emotion. But then if I'm freestyling, I kind of see what the audience is feeling. And then I try to hurry up and jab them with that to give them some wow. And for me, it's deep thought, inner thought, outer space, that type of stuff. I try to go with that right there. Yeah. Put more drama to it because, you know, people love drama. So that's me.
Yeah, for me, I mean, it really does depend. Like, if I'm drawing, just like sketching, I listen to music. If I'm writing a poem, I often like to go to like little restaurants or cafes, or so I could just kind of be in the background and kind of see how people are interacting with one another. And sometimes people's interactions kind of remind me of certain ideas I've had, and then I'm able to write it and kind of decentralize myself from myself, kind of thing. But music, I'm the same way in that if I'm listening to music, I'm listening to the beat, I'm listening for the guitar. Like, my mind is just too much into the music for me to write while I'm listening to music, even if there's no lyrics. And I just think it's because I grew up around music. That music was so central in my life for so long that it has its own special place. Even though there is a lot of overlap with expression and writing and things, like in my mind, I just can't mesh those together. It's just too distracting. But that's the beautiful thing. We each have our process depending on how we write and why we write what we write. So that's it.
Thank you. All right. Now we got to switch back to Zoom. This is kind of fun. Complicated, but it's kind of fun.
It's like you're breaking a code.
My plan, I just wrote it down. I don't know. I'll show everybody online and on Zoom. I wrote down, draw a map. I want to make an audio map of like a diagram where it goes into my microphone, into Zoom, into YouTube. You go into my speakers, into the computer, into YouTube. I don't know. It hurts my brain, but I think we'll figure it out. I think we did okay. Does anybody have any final questions or comments before I end the stream? And then we'll all still be here, but the stream will be over. Does anybody have anything they want to add or share? Looks like no, maybe, no, kinda. No. All right, so I'm gonna do my closing for the YouTube audience and for those that will watch the recording later. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you for being patient with us as we're kind of navigating this new format. It's a little more difficult than I thought it was. It's been a couple years and I thought it was the same as it was, but it certainly wasn't. But I'm happy that we were able to figure out a solution. Thank you for Lavelle and Ian and Julie for being here in person and for helping out with those things. I'm hoping I can figure out a way to get it all done from my area. I think a thing exists that I could just push buttons and it'll turn stuff off. But if not, we'll always have a designated mute person, I suppose. And I'm gonna change our screen here so everybody on Zoom just wave because they're not gonna see you anymore. Oh, everybody here too, definitely. And on your screen now is our socials, of course. Ghosts at nervousghostpress.org, nervousghostpress.org, Nervous Ghost Press on Instagram. All our socials are on your screen. I will end the stream now. Thank you again for being here. We'll see you in February. And I hope that by then the audio it's smoother. I hope that it's smoother. Thank you again, everyone.